Hey ladies and gentlemen, 2007 Kia Rio AC system failure. Got the condenser, the compressor. I'm presuming that he's got dryer if it's not built into the condenser. He's bought his own parts. So thermal expansion valve, didn't see it, don't know yet, have to check here in a minute. I want to do some belts on this vehicle. That's all 1.6 liter, I believe. So, fan shrouds. We're going to do that first. We've got to drain the radiator. Radiator's got to come out. So, stay tuned. So, it's a split system. It splits right there. There's 1, 2, and 3 bolts. And then, yeah, it pushes in on the bottom. I do have to drain the coolant. I haven't done that yet. Obviously, this hose got to come off before I pull these off. I just loosened the bolts. There's a plug on either side of these things. Just unplug. Very easy to do. Should not have to explain that any further. I mean, that's pretty straightforward stuff. So let's lift the vehicle and go underneath and see what's going on. Vehicle's got a center drain, or I should say the rack. Anyway, let's back out of here. I'm gonna lower that down. So just don't do what I just did. I could have sworn I loosened the cap up. I guess I did. Well, I obviously did. I barely pulled the vehicle inside. It's been sitting. It's not in any way hot whatsoever. It's been sitting here for several days, so all I did is just pull it into the shop. In case anybody is wondering, don't do that when it's hot, obviously. This thing here is not hot. Lay that off the side. I do like the simplicity of this. $10 mil, 2 on each side. I think that's for the bracket. So, for those that are going to be screaming, service information, no. Didn't look in the service information, sure didn't. This is all rusted all to hell, so that bracket got bent a little bit. We'll have to fix that before we put it back together, or try to put it back together. Don't lose your rubber. Yes, that's what I just did. You seen me do that. I did not undo the bottom hose. Hose is pliable. If not, you need to replace it anyway. Yep, that exposes that. So 10 mil. System is dry, by the way. In case anybody is wondering about that. Go ahead and put my plug back in. That way I don't have to remember later. Parts are pretty corroded, so that's a problem. Again, 10 mil here. One. This nut over here is seized. I mean, poopy. This is what I'm working on. Low side, high side. This one here I'm having a problem with. There's the other connections down there. I don't know what the camera just did. I hope it didn't go backwards, upside down, or whatever. But anyway, best way to get camera lazy, I suppose. This one here is seized up. One thing to add, you're working with 10 and 12. That's what you're going to be working with. 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter. Make sure you have a shallow socket, deep well sockets, some wrenches, be good to go. Well, None of these fittings don't want to seem to come loose. I'll just have to work at it. Flip the, yeah. So I don't know that I'm going to leave the camera on to tell you the truth, because you won't be able to see. I'm trying to get this here off. Man, those are rusted as well. Alright, so in a minute here we're gonna, let me flip that screen around, sorry about that. In a minute I'm gonna cut some aluminum here, but I'm gonna head underneath and see what's going on underneath with the compressor. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, what I ended up doing is I put a regular torch on that nut back there. I never could get this here apart, so I ended up sawing it with the Sawzall. Ended up sawing that so we can get this old condenser out of here now. I'll show you. I think I'm going to show you anyway, I don't know. There we go. So ended up sawing the crap apart. Might want to save your rubber bushings. I don't know if you get them with the other condenser or not. All that crap here is rusted in. These metal bushings right here, they generally slide out of the rubber very easily. Now in this case here, there ain't no telling what they're going to do. We'll have to cuss them. Actually, it's coming out, so once you normally have to slide them out in order to get the clips, the rubber to come through. So don't lose them, put them back in there. Of course, goes without saying, you do the same thing on the other side. Now that one there came out like that, so there's a rubber bushings. Like I said, I was able to get the nut off the fitting back here, but again, seized in. So the reason we do this is when I disconnect the compressor and all that good stuff, yeah, we're going to replace all that, but the problem with it is we need to flush these lines, so the best thing to do is to break them apart. I'm right here, that's the nut that I'm talking about that I got off of it. But as you can see, you know, that stuff, we don't want to buy that. We don't want to have to buy that. So again, there's rubber grommets. I sprayed them a little bit with lubricant last night. That didn't do no good. The compressor lives right here, and I forgot to mention that it's going to be done from the top. I do believe everything is done from the top, so that's going to be hard for me to film 100%. Let me get the light over here. So you see the hookups right there for where the lines are, and there's some compressor bolts right there. We can see them. 2 on top, 2 on the bottom. Right there is the electrical connection right there. So we have that, and then over there in the back, that's the thermal expansion valve. So that one's going to get replaced as well. Obviously, we'll have to do all the components. Matter of fact, they require you to do it nowadays. Used to, you could go in and get those get single components and put them in and then return them when they fail, because obviously there's still junk in the system. So anyway, you know what I'm after here, so I'm going to pause the camera back up. Here is the stuff that I took the nuts off, and this is what I cut. So basically this is what I cut just now. So hopefully I can get all that stuff out. One thing to add, you're working with 10 and 12 is what you're going to be working with. 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter. Make sure you have a shallow socket, deep well sockets, some wrenches, you could be good to go. Something else too, customer did the smart thing. He's decided that while we're in this general area, we're going to go ahead and change all the belts, not just the AC belt, we're going to change all of them. So that belt here, clean melted off of it. The power steering belt is a regular V belt. It doesn't look that old. The other one, the main belt, it does look older, but in any event, we're going to change them right along with it. These ones here, one of them is tightened with the power steering pump. The other one is tightened with the alternator. Lives over here. You loosen the bolt up, bolt on the bottom, and then there's a jack screw right there. I think that's about the same principle on that one right here, I do believe. So yeah, there's a bolt right there, bolt right there. This one don't have a jack screw, but anyway, easy enough to do. And the customer is 100% right, smart man. He decided let's do this while we're doing it. So, go ahead and pause the camera back up. That's what I'm going to do right now. Something else to add real quick. I was able, by the way, to lift this out, get to this part here. This lets us work on it a little bit more. You know, there's some brackets that got bent. And if you're wondering if there's hoses, this is the low side on the compressor. You get that off. That came apart okay. You can see, I don't know if the camera picks it up, even on the dowels right here, there is white oxidation in there. They're hard to come apart. And if you're wondering, you know, if you damage any of this stuff, so who's responsible for that? Well, the customer is responsible for that. We didn't make it rust. We didn't design the parts to be that way. So, you know, that's not on the person fixing it. You just got to do what you got to do to get this apart. I mean, we obviously want to do this without let me get you over here. So I hope the camera can pick it up, but that white, that is just oxidation, and it's basically like soldered in there. So that stuff is hard to get out of there. Actually, the battery terminal cleaner does dissolve it, but the problem is it goes inside of it, and it would take application after application, hours of time to get that to go all the way through. And you know, it's not budget. I mean, that's where we're at. We still got a hose attached here. That one is actually attached to multiple places, and it goes over there to the expansion valve. So just keep working yourself over until you get freed up and are able to take everything out of it. What I did, by the way, best investment that I've ever made. This is I got a Harbor Freight A-frame, absolutely not a sponsor, but that thing is awesome. I've been using this thing for so many things. But anyway, needless to say, best investment I've made in a long time. What I did is take the bolt off the motor mount, and just whatever movement was there, I elevated that engine up a little bit. As you can see, I brought it up quite a bit. That makes it a little bit easier to work on. Actually, it makes it a lot easier to work on. So anyway, pause that camera back up. And yes, this vehicle here, while it is down here now, but it certainly came from up the street, if you know what I mean. Our vehicles here that stay in this area just don't look like that. They don't rust like that. So When loosening up the compressor, do the 2 bottom bolts, do them first, take them completely out. Do the one furthest back toward the transmission. Unbolt the metal bracket that's against the block. You'll know what I'm talking about. I don't have to show you that one. The last one is wide open, right in front of your nose. Top bolts are long, the bottom bolts are a little bit shorter. So that one is just about to tip over, so I know the bolt is just about loose. Maybe I catch it, maybe I don't. Really don't care. There's another electrical connection on top. That one is easier to get once you have it freed up. Not going to mess with it, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, snip, I'll cut the wire. Make a heck of any difference, so. Compressor can come out of here. That compressor right there is totally locked up. If y'all want to play a little bit and I'll remember it, I'll take it apart. So complete failure there. There's definitely metal in the system. Now that the compressor is out, you're wide open. Well, I'm not going to call it wide open, but anyway, open enough. We've got 2 brackets on the one on the frame. Well, they're both essentially on the frame, 10 millimeters. That'll get us loosened up, but the first thing we're going to have to do is take the 2 10 millimeters out of the expansion valve in the back. So we'll loosen the expansion valve up and pull the whole assembly out in one shot. Wrench is probably going to be your better option. Ratchet wrench. I don't think the ratchet actually will work. Yeah, it does work, so ratchet is fine. Ratchet wrench, don't matter. Matter of fact, ratchet, hindsight 2020, ratchet probably is going to be better. Matter of fact, if I could get the other one in there, that'd be even better. One bad thing about these is they have a big head on them, so sometimes you get in there and sometimes you don't. Yep. It's absolutely doable. Drop the first nut. And watch your bolt that's there on the vertical wall where the engine mount is, because you're gonna end up pinching it in there. We'll see if we can do some good here. Alright, we can definitely do some good there. I've loosened this tank up earlier. Got this other rubber grommet. it's going to be a cat and mouse game here. Of course, like I said, when you cut everything, that's just what you're gonna have to do. You got to do what you got to do. Trying to sneak that out of there. Bend some stuff down here, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Alright, not that big of a deal. Now that the plug for our pressure switch is exposed, better exposed, of course we can't cut that one. Kind of goes without saying. Well, it should go without saying, I'll put it like that. Lots of sharp corners on this car, so kind of keep that in mind. Here's our compressor plug. They got a shell that clips in the front that you have to undo. You twist it back so you get to the part that unlocks it. You can stick a tool in there and push on it. That works as well. Sometimes they can be a little bit of a bugger. They can be a little bit of a bugger. I want to add something in there real quick, guys, since I just thought about it. There is actually quite a few of the YouTube channels. You kind of want to watch it, take it for a grain of salt. You know what I say. If you think that this work here can be done without struggles, like some of these YouTube channels that you watch, they portray like, oh yeah, they just have a good workflow and everything is rosy, handy dandy. No, don't be fooled by that. A lot of that stuff is staged. You know, they prep stuff to where it comes undone easy and all that good stuff. Don't be fooled by that. I know that is impossible. I've been doing this way too long and I've been noticing it. So I figured I'll add that in there because of a comment that was made not too long ago. So here is the entire assembly, and again, that one here, that's all rusted in, no go. This is the other end that I had to saw. I wailed on this with the air hammer right here, trying to push it up. It's a no-go. That's going to have to go into the vise, and we try to hold it in the vise. As a matter of fact, we can go over there and do that. That's fine. Let me pause the camera up, get that ready.